Hey guys, I know I've been gone for a while. I'm like a dead guy, right? And while I appreciate the grieving, I've been necromanced for another video. So fictional characters, am I right? We all have a guy from a book, movie, stage play, multimedia project, and or concept album that we vibe with. And everybody wants to know my top 10. Seriously. People come up to me and beg for my opinion. Please don't do that. Talking to random people scares me. So to keep the stalkers off my back, I've put together a list of my 10 favorite fictional characters, starting with... As many of you know if you've been following the Bubblin channel, I'm a Ben 10 fan. I just think he's kinda neat. Ben's a very fun character. He gives a lot of senior and high school energy, at least in Omniverse, and I'm here for it. But not to beat it around the bush, we all know he places so high mainly because of the Omnitrix. The Omnitrix, if you didn't know, is a device that allows Ben to transform into different aliens from across the galaxy, and most of them are pretty neat. I love during some transformations his personality subtly shifts. I think that's a neat aspect. Ben's transformations are just pretty cool, and it gets you wondering about the functions of the Omnitrix. And to continue to talk on the Omnitrix, Ben really is the perfect wielder for this device, due to his creativity mostly. He really is just a pretty awesome character. I do have to add, however, his writing is a bit inconsistent. Sometimes he's a sensible hero, sometimes he's a narcissist who hates his friends and he sucks. But don't get it twisted, I love Ben. Scott the Woz is number 9. To those not in the know, Scott the Woz is a YouTube web series centered on video game discussion hosted by a fictionalized version of the creator of the show, Scott Wozniak. This show really has a special place in my heart because it was one of those early YouTube channels I first watched that inspired me to create content myself. I heavily had to consider whether putting Scott on this list counted because he sort of toes the line between real person and fictional character. But I've made the executive decision that it's my list and I can do what I want. I love Scott as a character. I just believe Scott is so fun and energetic and kinda looks like Spider-Man, right? Like, just a little. Scott always feels so awkward yet passionate, much like a certain someone. I'm doing the thumb things, I'm pointing at me, I'm that certain someone. And I love his dynamic with the rest of his group. Scott's role of switching from the straight man to schizophrenic just really works for me. I just think as a character, Scott can fill so many roles in many different stories without it feeling weird or forced. He's just this weird guy, and I love him for it. Miles Morales is my Spider-Man. I was introduced to him as a lot of us were in the Into the Spider-Verse movie. I was just hooked with this guy from the start. I love how awkward and scared he feels when he starts being Spider-Man and how he fails over and over and over. But he grows into the role, and by the time of the leap of faith, he's ready. The leap of faith scene is my favorite scene in any movie ever. The emotional catharsis of seeing Miles finally become Spider-Man, and that one shot of where he's falling but the frame is flipped so that he's rising. Ooh, chef's kiss. Mwah. I also love Miles in Across the Spider-Verse. The amount of times I quote to my friends, "Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing," is impossible to count. And the way he interacts with other Spider-Man across the compound is also great. Miles is really great, and you'll already see that it's going to be impossible to rank everybody. We can just stop the list right here. Number 8's great. But with that being said, please, Sony, nail Beyond the Spider-Verse. You have the perfect opportunity for a great trilogy. I'm crossing my fingers. Spoilers for Severance. Skip this part if you haven't seen it. Severance fucks so hard. Like, just such a great show to experience. All the actors do such a great job, and you really get to see a wide range in performance because about half the cast plays two separate characters, both of extreme complexity. Trammell Tillman doesn't, though. I just love his character. Milchek is the manager of the Severed Floor in Severance, and he's the major antagonistic force during the series, often acting as the enforcer for the Lumen Company. I just think he's such an amazing, multifaceted character. I love his ongoing struggle with the Lumen Company. Lumen feels like they're mentally attacking him in many ways, always eroding his individuality and making him to be the one to do these dehumanizing things like administering the break room punishment. I love how, though Milchek is trying to climb the corporate ladder, he still pushes back at those who disrespect him, like Mr. Drummond.
Devour feculence. It means eat shit, Mr. Drummond.
I also love his little quirks. His vocabulary is always fun. I like when he does his funny dances, and I love that smile and his jovialness, which he uses as like a mask to hide his true feelings. He's great. Also, the tallest waterfall line was so funny. You didn't need to lie. You had no reason to lie about this being the biggest waterfall in the world, but you did. And it's hilarious. I personally hope in Season 3, which by writing this hasn't released yet, he fully leaves Lumen and supports Devin, Gemma, and the Severed employees. But overall, really cool. Love Milchek. I love Radiant Black. It's no secret I have been a fan of this series ever since a friend of the channel, Josh, recommended me the book. I will find any excuse to talk about this comic run. I talk about it during runs, sleepovers, and I'm sure I'd talk about it during funerals as well. By far my favorite character in the run is Marshall Ward, the second person to take up the Radiant Black mantle. Marshall first became Radiant Black after his friend Nathan got crushed under a building. The Radiant Black source of power, was offered to him, which gave him a sick suit and a variety of powers such as controlling gravity, flight, and energy projection. After gaining the Radiant, he took revenge on the killer, then continued Nathan's work as the new Radiant Black. I just find Marshall Ward to be extremely likable despite his many negative traits. He's awful, and I kinda live for that. I like his general sardonic personality, his wokeness for lack of a better term, and all the quips he dishes out constantly. He's just like me for real. He even has Letterboxd. I also love the way he treats becoming a superhero. It feels like he's sort of copying what you would see in the average superhero movie, which fits because he's a film buff, while still letting his personality shine through along with it. Becoming a superhero for Marshall was a huge opportunity, and I like how Marshall is willing to go along with it and use it to his advantage, such as using his image to push merch, so he can make a little bit of money. That's also something I wanted to note. He's very entrepreneurial. Marshall has many standout moments throughout the series. I really love his refusal to join Shift in issue 16. It highlights his integrity and his durability. He gets stomped through like 6 floors. Also, the ending of issue 10, actually crazy. One of the best looks inside Marshall's mind you get in the entire series. You really get to understand his emotions and his hatred for himself. I could gush about Radiant Black all day, and maybe he'll get a video of his own, but yeah, cool character. The number of superheroes left on this list is going to make sure that I don't beat the allegations. Number 5 is Batman. He's kind of impossible to hate. As mentioned, I have picked up comic books in 2025, which has led me to pick up a couple Batman books, and wow.
Everyone stop talking, listen, that was the best thing I've ever seen in my freaking life.
If you have not read The Long Halloween, which to be fair is kind of a basic Batman suggestion because it's good, you really should consider picking up the book or pirating it because wow. Also during 2025, I also finished all the Nolan Batman movies, which were also very good. All this to say, I sort of fell in love with Batman during 2025. The supporting cast is amazing. I love all the Robins, some of whom narrowly missed this list. And he has always had great dynamics with the League members. I love Batman's villains as well, especially the fact that the majority of them foil an aspect of Batman in some way, like Scarecrow and Batman inflicting fear onto the people of Gotham, but in different ways. Batman also has amazing love interests. I think Catwoman is the only character where the femme fatale aspect doesn't really bother me as much. My biggest problem with Batman is that DC, lots of the time, holds Batman back and restricts writers from getting a little weird with it. which leads to sometimes boring and not fun stories. Although, DC has been more willing to experiment lately, which has led us to get the absolutely fantastic Absolute Batman. Overall, Batman, really epic. Many know him as the blind acrobat of the Marvel Universe, the man without fear. I know him as the funny lawyer guy who got the best Marvel show. Of course my GOAT Daredevil is number 4. Fans of the channel know I'm a Daredevil fiend and will talk about him any chance I get. I just think he's so neat. Firstly, I love that Daredevil is Catholic. I myself am non-religious, but I love a character who feels immense guilt about their actions, and Catholic guilt is the best kind. Secondly, I love that he's a lawyer. Matt Murdock being a lawyer provides immense opportunities to tell interesting legal drama stories on top of superhero stories. And Daredevil being a lawyer provides an interesting contradiction, practicing law while actively being a vigilante. Thirdly, I love his cast of supporting characters. To speed through them all, Foggy is super likable and a great foil to match shenanigans. Karen is great at driving a story forward and gives insane Lois Lane vibes. Frank Castle is a great foil to match no-kill policy and general morals. The Kingpin works great as a scary, intimidating foe that by his nature is hard to knock down. And Bullseye works as a great equal to Matt in his best moments and brings a certain insanity to Daredevil stories. Fourthly, he is so freaking cool, man. Just look at this dude's aura. I love Daredevil, and he earns his number 4 spot. Deltarune is such a great, interesting game with so many great characters. Realistically, I could see a lot of characters placed on this list, but Susie is number 3. Throughout these many years, hope has been a sparse thing, so I have started gravitating towards characters who bring a sense of hope. And Susie, out of any character in the game, represents hope. But besides that, Susie also had one of the greatest character arcs I've seen lately. She goes from just a common bully to the heroic warrior we see her as. There are so many moments I fell in love with this character. I loved it when she was talking insane shit to the Roaring Knight, which to be fair, she didn't have the legs to really stand on those claims because the Knight was wiping the floor with me, but I appreciate the confidence. I love how she somehow beats the Titan by dunking Chris straight in. Absolute cinema. I also love her attitude. She has more I'ma do my own things attitude than Miles Morales. She takes no orders from no one. She says nah to Rousey's nihilistic attitude. She says nah to the prophecy. She even says nah to the game itself at certain points. I personally believe that through her actions in the rest of the game, we will see the prophecy broken and Susie be the true protagonist of Deltarune. I also believe she will be the one who will at least try to prevent the Snowgrave route from coming to pass. Man, if I have to kill Susie in the Snowgrave route, I don't think I'll be able to do it. To summarize, Susie is the goat of Deltarune, and I hope she gets the Megalovania motif in her Snowgrave fight. That would be so peak. To give some background, I love Greek mythology. I've always found the myths and stories about the activities of the gods incredibly interesting, and while I love a lot of myths and epics, one stood out from the rest. Odysseus from the Odyssey is number 2. This man stands out from the rest of Greek heroes by having one trait: intelligence. Many Greek heroes are known for being warriors. Odysseus is known for his tricks. My goat Odysseus does so many great tricks, such as building a horse, getting inside and sacking Troy, telling the Cyclops his name is nobody, stealing the suitor's weapons. I also like that hubris is his downfall. I relate to that. Hubris is also my downfall. What really gives Odysseus his number 2 spot are all the adaptations of him. I really like his appearance in Hades too. I also love his appearance in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? But I would be lying if I didn't say 90% of the reason he made it on the list was Epic the Musical. Epic the Musical is peak, and I don't care if you say it's cringe to put him on the list almost entirely because of his appearance in a niche musical. I would have also put Alexander Hamilton on this list if I was 3 years younger and Hamilton did not historically trade slaves. Hot take. Epic transforming Odysseus' arc from just trying to get home to his wife to a story of a man becoming a monster? That's peak. I would really like to say more, but just sit down and listen to the musical. And also read the book, I guess. Odysseus is really great. No good Watch Mojo video is complete without honorable mentions, so here are mine. Atticus Finch narrowly missed out on the list. I really love To Kill a Mockingbird, but I just haven't read the book in a while, but I really did consider him. Superman could have also been on this list. I really love the 2025 film. I just haven't loved him as much as in anything else at all. I could see a universe where Hornet from Hollow Knight made the list. I love Silk Song, but Hornet as a character just doesn't interest me as much as the game. All of the cast from Avatar The Last Airbender. Love that show, mainly due to the characters, but only one could have made it, so sorry. And with that, I move on to the final entry. I love a character that begins in a bad place and throughout the story changes and grows to be a better person. Characters on this list have already done that, such as Radiant Black and Susie, but one character starts in the lowest place possible and rises to be a great person, having the best character arc of all time. I love Zuko so much. Zuko begins as an arrogant person driven by his need to capture the Avatar to restore his honor, and Zuko might have stayed that way if it wasn't for him having to go on the run from the Fire Nation at the start of Season 2. Throughout his journey through the Earth Kingdom, he keeps running into people who push on his ideology, challenging his previous beliefs. Along with Earth Kingdom citizens, Zuko receives guidance from his uncle Iroh, which further shifts him away from his Fire Nation nationalism. Throughout Season 2, Zuko grows, and by the end of the Ba Sing Se arc, he becomes a good guy. However, he still is driven by his need for honor, so when Azula offers him a chance to restore his honor to the Fire Nation, he takes it and betrays everyone. And of course he does! After all this time of wanting to restore his honor, it feels so realistic that he goes back to the Fire Nation, even after all the growth he went through. But Zuko still grew during his travels in the Earth Kingdom, so in Season 3, he slowly grows disillusioned from the Fire Nation and finally turns on them. The scene where Zuko finally tells his father off and redirects that lightning feels so good, because he is saying all the things we have been thinking for the past 2.5 seasons. Zuko grows and changes in ways that I have never seen from any other character ever, and still keeps his traits from before he turns to the good side. Zuko is still the awkward, angry teenager when he helps out Team Avatar, and I love him for it. Zuko deserves his #1 spot. There may never be a character ever again who reaches his potential. So what have we learned from this list? Well, we now know that I have a thing for characters who go through a character arc and hate themselves just a little bit. We also now know that my opinions most likely disagree with yours, and that's okay. Go out there and show some love for your faves. This has been Bubblin. This entire list except #1 will change in a month because my opinions are constantly shifting, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Goodbye! I'm doing the thing that one girl did. I'm twisting the nipple to, I'm making the motion in the air where it's like twist the nipple, and you feel you're capturing your emotion. You should make a bloopers to the end of this video. That'd be really funny. Save that one. Say that was kind of funny. I also believe she will be one of. Besides that, besides that, Susie also has. But besides that, Susie also had one of the. But besides that, Susie has also. But besides that, Susie also. But besides that. But besides that, Susie also. But besides that, Susie.